Hello everyone, it's Jenn Shurkus here, and I'm really excited to share with you a holiday card I made with a technique that I like to call multicolored inking resist. So let's get started. For this card, we're going to be using some Hero Art sets and Distress Oxide inks. The two Hero Art stamp sets we're using are Wonder and Magic of Christmas and Winter Holiday Messages. I chose the Wonder and Magic of Christmas because it has some really nice solid image stamps, and that's going to work perfectly to multi-ink with different colors. We're using Distress Oxides today in Tumbled Glass, Worn Lipstick, and Candied Apple. The Distress Oxide works really great to stamp the solid images as they are a pigment dye fusion. We're going to do a little bit of ink blending as well as some embossing with Hero Art's White Puff embossing powder and Sparkle embossing powder. We're using a precision stamping tool in order to be able to stamp our images once and then stamp them again right over where we previously stamped. I'm lining up the deer on the tool and inking them up in the Distress Oxide Worn Lipstick first. I tend to start with a lighter color, and then I'm going to add a little bit of the Candied Apple here and there on the deer. Once I get that stamped down onto the card base, I am going to dust the image with a powder tool. Distress inks are really wet. I could heat set it too, but I tend to like to dust it with the powder tool to take any moisture off. I'm inking up the stamps again with a Versamark ink pad, stamping right over where I previously stamped, and I'm going to emboss these deer in clear embossing powder. Since I dusted the cardstock with the powder tool, the embossing powder is going to cling basically just where the Versamark is. I won't have any extra embossing powder on the background. So now I'm embossing the two deer, and then I am going to repeat these steps again, stamping one more deer in the upper right-hand corner. I am repeating the same steps as I did previously, inking it up in the Worn Lipstick, adding a little bit of Candied Apple, and stamping it on the paper. Dusting it with the powder tool, stamping over it with Versamark, adding clear embossing powder, and then embossing it. Now that we have clear embossing powder over our image, we're able to do an embossed resist. So I'm using a mini ink blending tool and inking with Tumbled Glass Distress Oxide. The pink and red ink that's underneath the clear embossing won't get tainted by the blue ink because we have that clear embossing powder over the deer. So this is a fun trick where you'll be able to do multi-inking on an image and still do a fun colored background without mixing up your colors. Now that we have our background inked, I am going to add a little bit of the snowfall stamps that come in that Wonder and Magic of Christmas stamp set. My thought of where I'm placing these images is it's where the deer are kicking up the snow as they're playing on this holiday day. So I'm stamping the images with the Versamark, and I'm putting some of the Hero Art's Sparkle embossing powder on it. I'm going to get all three little snowfall images stamped before I do any embossing. I just love the subtle sparkle that this embossing powder leaves behind on this beautiful background. Next, we're going to powder the bottom of the card because I want to use the Lawn Fawn embossing pen and the Hero Art's White Puff embossing powder. And I want to add a little bit of a snowy ground for the deer to stand on. So using the Lawn Fawn embossing pen, I'm drawing a little ground and putting a little bit of the fluid under the deer's feet. I'm pouring the powder on, and whenever I use a thicker powder, I do like to tap and press the powder into where I drew the pen. Now I'm going to heat emboss this as well. Off camera, I stamped the sentiment and matted my card with some guava cardstock from Lawn Fawn. I'm now using the Lawn Fawn glue tube and tracing the border between the white card base and the guava cardstock. And then I'm going to add some Prisma glitter from Lawn Fawn. I just wanted to add a nice little sparkle to the frame of the card. I think for the holiday season, it's the perfect time to add sparkle and shimmer to your cards. It just adds some sort of magical feel to the creation that you're working on. The Lawn Fawn glue tube does come out white, but it will dry clear, leaving to show us the extra sparkle that'll be around the card. And that is it. This is the card that I created. I hope you're inspired to try to do some multi-inking with your precision stamping tool and with Distress Oxide inks. Have a great day.